Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Immeasurables. And I know what you're thinking, this episode is going to be a doozy. Don't click off this video or this podcast just yet. It's going to be a doozy as I just want to express a passion that I love, which is America's Next Top Model. But it does come with some disclaimers and some controversies, of course. So just to clear everything up beforehand, no, I do not condone anything that happened in the show. Of course, those were different times. The show was in a sense ahead of the times, but very much behind the times as well. Most of the problems stemmed from racism, prejudice, discrimination against fellow models, and Tyra has since apologized for that, but it's still no reason to ignore those kinds of injustices in our industry, in our fashion and modeling industry. But with that, let's get started with one of my probably most controversial episodes, why we have to bring back America's Next Top Model. If you like Immeasurables so far and my new season, which is coming towards its middle ground, I really suggest you subscribe for more content just like this. I upload fashion and modeling content, which is what Immeasurables is all about, bringing fashion education and fashion knowledge to those who are wanting to learn about fashion and are inspired by fashion. So if you like that kind of stuff, I highly suggest you tune in and strap on for the ride. Let's get started. So basically, I have always been an average America's Next Top Model watcher. I haven't seen all the cycles, but a couple of my favorite cycles that I did rewatch a couple of times was 7. I watched a whole whopping number of 3 times, I believe 3-4 times. But I watched 7, 24, and 8 are my top 3 cycles. So cycle 7 was when Carrie D won. My favorite shot was the circus shot. If you guys remember from that season when they all dressed up as circus creatures, circus freaks, the freak show, I believe it's what it's called. And then they went to Spain and they did the little flamenco shoot. That was super, super cool. Carrie D. I think my favorite runner-up from that show was definitely Melrose. Melrose was definitely ahead of her time, and no one realized that. I think that's a very controversial, opinion. Well, not controversial, but a very, split decision. Melrose was seen as, the villain of the show. But honestly, she was very much ahead of her time. She was very high fashion, very chic, very, very cool. So definitely ahead of her time. My following favorite cycle was, as I mentioned, 24, which was one of the newer ones. Mid-2010s, 2017, 2018, I believe. Not 100% sure, but it was one of the most recent ones in which Kyla Coleman won. And I remember watching it, and the first thing that comes to mind was the golden shoot when they had the golden stuff in their hair and were decked out, and they were trying to go against the guys and see who can model better, the guys or the girls. I remember that was my favorite shoot, and Kyla is definitely one of my favorite models to date. I still follow her on her journey and her runway shows and such. But I remember the paper shoot. No, actually, I think the paper shoot was my favorite shoot, since Paper Magazine is so unique and so different that shoot was. I very much recognize it in my head as a staple for that season. The colors, I just remember vividly the colors. I believe it was I don't remember their names, but Christiana did the yellows, and the other girl did the reds. I vividly remember those colors in my head when I think about that season. But and the trio shoot as well. The trio with Ashley Graham sandwiched in the middle of the 3 models. There was a challenge where Ashley Graham could direct the shoot and they could reshoot. I remember that was so controversial. But yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite cycles. Going second place in my top 3. But my third favorite cycle was cycle 8, which I will preface and say Natasha was very much ahead of her time. When I say Melrose, I think the Melrose of this season was Natasha. Like Natasha was very much like she was in it like with her knowledge. People called her stupid, like but she was very much ahead of her time. Like people don't recognize that, but I saw through it. I thought she was gonna win the whole cycle, but Jasleen was obviously the better choice, I guess, in that time. But Natasha was very like she knew her stuff. She didn't come to play in that season, but I vividly remember her. And was it Natasha? No, it was the other girl. I forgot her name, but the one that went storming out when she lost the Go See challenge. The one that was like screaming, crying. That was the staple of that season. Natasha very well could have been like one of the first like influencers, in my opinion. She had like the look, she had the voice, she was very confident. I remember she did the male shoot, like when they transformed into males and famous celebrity couples, and was it that one? Yeah, and she brought out like the gold stuff in her teeth. That was so iconic. But definitely ahead of her cycle, ahead of her time. But the clear winner in that season was Jasleen. She was amazing and clearly literally one of my favorite idols to this day. She represents like the Latina representation that we don't usually get in high fashion and such. Well, we do more now, but like I said, she was very much ahead of her time as well. So my fourth favorite cycle, top 4, was actually runner-up for top 3 was cycle 8. I do remember Danielle and her little upside down mermaid shoe in which she deserved to win, and the shoot with the elephant where like she was literally like dying like on a hospital bed, but she went to that shoot and she rocked it so hard. I vividly remember that season as well. But like Danielle brought out like the fearlessness in all girls that watched America's Next Top Model. Like she was very much a role model in her cycle, in her time, and the way she went out on set, rocked it, and then like crashed and afterwards was very, very brave and very, very cool. It resonates with me to this day. But let's go back to cycle 24. I talked quite a bit about it. You saw models of all types. Christiana, I think I mentioned her. Christiana, she was a plus-sized model. Gina, the model with alopecia. And we're all in the running next to Kyla that won. But you saw in that cycle, you very much saw the diversity that Tyra and her show was trying to achieve. And they were trying to break molds in the fashion industry. Like Immeasurables. But how cool was it to bring along Ashley Graham to that show, to that cycle? It was a nod to trying to change the standard and bring Ashley Graham, bringing her along really inspired a ton of viewers like myself, and I thought it was super cool and super groundbreaking. I want to bring back America's Next Top Model as a way to break into the industry. The way America's Next Top Model was designed was to give one model a chance to break into the fashion industry. They had a grand prize for every single winner, which ranged around $100,000 cash prize, a contract with a model agency, which included Elite, Next, so forth. And a contract with a company which was CoverGirl way back in the 2000s, and I think the most recent was Pantene. During the last cycle was Pantene. But how cool is that to give a nobody, a little girl or a guy, there was a guy season as well, the chance to win and get big out of nothing it's so fascinating and so interesting, the concept to make a girl's or guy's dreams come true. Very cool. What else? Even if you didn't win, like, models still got exposure. Don't remember what model or what season, but literally any model could be signed after the show airs or during the show airing. You could get signed, like your go-sees, you can book shows from there. When they did their little go-sees, they booked shows from there. They won competitions to do like side jobs, and it's such a good way to get started in the industry, which is why I loved America's Next Top Model. It gave girls like and guys and identities the chance to pursue their dreams, which was very, very ahead of its time. Very cool. For the winner, you would gain industrial attention from literally any modeling agency ever. The show was aired. It was America's Next Top Model. There are different versions across the world, but you'd get global attention because America's Next Top Model was the most popular. And a cash prize, contract, and major beauty company signage. How cool is that? That's literally any person's dream. The ordinary person can be transformed into a supermodel is so fascinating. Instead of going through the years and years and years and years and years and years of work that it could take, they could do it overnight by winning America's Next Top Model. This could take decades, like I said, decades to achieve. But that is why I like America's Next Top Model and why we have to bring it back. Did you disagree or did you agree? Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you guys liked this episode in the comments down below. I really want to know your feedback and what you guys think of America's Next Top Model. Do we need to alter the show to fit better for these times, or do we just need a whole show and a whole new show in general, like a whole new audience, a whole new way to bring out these new models? Let me know. If you like Immeasurables, like I said, subscribe and let me know what you guys want to see new on the channels and stuff like that. Signing off. See you guys.